The Melbourne Cricket Ground playing host to State of Origin football for a sixth time. New South Wales, after a fast start, fighting to keep the series alive.
Tried to give it to Lomax, but lost the ball forward.
All the early pressure on the Queenslanders, and it didn't take long for Mitchell Moses to part the Maroon Sea.
And here is Moses at speed. Martin stepping straight through them.
The Blues setting up camp and dominating. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow clutching his shoulder. The Maroons clutching at straws on the edges.
Now Luai, he gives Mitchell a chance eventually. He flicks it to Brian To'o.
The Blues flying, clearly acclimatised to the Melbourne culture.
It's Zach Lomax. He brings it down. What a catch at the MCG.
Lomax with a hanger, Queensland with a howler, booting it out on the full. The Blues cashing in once again.
Here's Moses kicking. To'o is there.
The Panther pouncing for his second, called in to steer the Blues around. Mitchell Moses was doing just that in attack and defence. New South Wales keeping their foot down.
Midway through the set, Moses, Luai, chance again for Crichton. Edwards into the backfield. Mitchell on his return.
Self-inflicted wounds for the Maroons. Liam Martin on report for this tackle, which sent Ruben Cotter off for a HIA. Stephen Crichton latching onto an intercept, then laying on try number 6 for the Blues.
Crichton beats Taulagi, gives it to Lomax.
34-0, the most dominant half of Origin football in the history of the game. Not the best start to the second half though. Mitchell placed on report, as was Stephen Crichton for a grapple tackle. Queensland struggling physically.
As I said, an error now from Queensland. They're rattled. Look at this.
Here they come.
Martin marched for a head rub, joined by Patrick Carrigan for running in. Queensland testing the blue wall, which eventually cracked. The Maroons on a roll.
Here's Grant now.
Dearden. Good hands, Queensland. Taulagi down the sideline. Tabuai-Fidow infield, looking for yet another Origin try.
A 9th try for the Hammer, but a Queensland comeback would be flawed.
Walsh or Holmes hit there by Crichton.
One of Michael Maguire's debutants repaying the faith.
Moses out the back. Edwards on the outside. On debut.
Murray Taulagi over the line, but it was all about the Blues. New South Wales convincing winners in front of the second largest Origin crowd, setting up a decider at Suncorp Stadium. Mitchell Ferrugia, Fox Sports News.
Seen one of the buses head off with a number of players on board. I saw Angus Crichton, also too, Connor Watson, Dylan Edwards, a couple of Penrith players and Roosters players. But we are still waiting for a number of other players to come here, in particular Latrell Mitchell, to show his face this morning after what was an incredible effort out there and his return to the State of Origin arena. As you mentioned, I don't think many people saw that sort of win coming from the Blues. Even Jake Trbojevic admitted this morning that he was surprised by that sort of start. So an incredible effort. Mitchell Moses with his kicking game also too had his hand in a number of tries, 4 try assists, and he was awarded man of the match for that performance. We heard from him this morning, which we'll touch on in just a little moment. But Michael Maguire spoke to us this morning and he said he knew that this was in the New South Wales Blues from back in Camp 1. He knew that this team had bonded in the last week. He felt like their preparations were right on point. And in terms of the spirit that they showed last night, the emotion that they played with, Michael Maguire was very proud of his men. He spoke a short time ago.
I don't know, you probably have to tell me that one. Look, that's part of what it's all about, and at the end of the day, if the players do their part, I've got to play mine. So that's what we're building here at the moment.
Was that a bit calculated from your end, maybe just to take the heat off a couple of the players?
No, not at all. I was just supporting the players. That's what I expect you to do. So that was just sort of part of what I saw, and I think the group, the way they look after each other, and I suppose that showed a little bit in that second half. They were supporting each other, and we've just got to make sure we look after that space when we get into the next game.
Yeah, the coach very happy this morning, and rightly so, but a lot of happy faces, in particular Latrell Mitchell, who was quite emotional last night as well, and what was his return to the Origin arena. I'm sure the coach loved what he saw out of Big Latrell as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very proud of Latrell Mitchell. And I spoke with him in the sheds after the game, and he said he was emotional when that buzzer went and it was all wrapped up and they'd come away with a 38-18 victory. And I asked him why he was so emotional coming back into this arena. And he said because it has been so long since he's played in this Blues jersey and he wears his heart on his sleeve. And everyone talked about this week about his return and the X factor, the aura that he brings to this Origin arena and how he's made for representative football. And he certainly showed that last night. He crossed for his own try. He had his hand in plenty others as well. And, you know, when he embraced with Brian To'o, they just put their heads together. You could just see the emotion in his face. And when he kicked the ball into the crowd in front of those Blues fans, he was just so proud to be out there last night. No doubt he is made for this arena, and he proved that last night. And Michael Maguire certainly agreed as well.
That was a special one. I just think, mate, I just said well done. I think he's been on the ride of the roller coaster of the NRL and obviously what the game brings. But I think the one really impressive thing about Latrell, he just focused on making sure that he did his part for the team, and that's what they've all gone about. So right across the park, I was just really pleased with how they went about it, and I think the fact that they understand what's expected and what they're trying to push for moving into the next one's going to be really important.
You mentioned the performance of Mitchell Moses on his return to the Origin Arena as well, but he really did own that performance, particularly in that historic first half, 34 unanswered points, the biggest score of a first half of Origin. But still, some subdued celebrations in the end, given still what's at stake, Ellie.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they haven't lost sight of what is on the line. It's a series that's 1-1, and they still have made note this morning that there is a job to do. And whilst there was a few beers celebrated last night, they came back to the team hotel for the official, I suppose, post-celebrations with family and friends and in the sheds as well. But they certainly understand what's still at stake here and that there is a job to do in front of what will be a Queensland dominant crowd up there at Suncorp Stadium. But yeah, Mitch Moses, he talked about, the fact that he was out for much of this season for the Eels with that fractured foot. There was reports that he had soreness after training on Monday. There was perhaps a little bit of an injury cloud or was question marks around his kicking game last night. Well, he certainly stepped up on the big stage. And I think there's so much pressure on the number 7 when they come in, particularly in this Blues jersey, to really make it their own and to manage the game. And Mitch Moses made no mistake last night. He was man of the match, 4 try assists, as I mentioned before. And he was certainly really humble in talking last night to me in the sheds and also too out here this morning at the hotel about, the forwards really laid a platform for him and everyone outside him made his job so easy. So certainly very humble in what was an incredible effort from Mitch Moses. Let's take a listen to what he had to say just a short time here ago.
It was a good win, but, we've got a job to do to game 3 in a few weeks.
Jake said this morning that he was surprised by just that first half effort. Did it surprise you?
Yeah, it was good. I felt like something was coming, and we bonded so well at the start of the week, and it was a good performance, but we need to fix up our second half, I think.
To come back in blue and put in a man of the match performance, Mitchell, how proud of yourself are you?
Yeah, it was good performance, but the boys were laid a great platform for me and Romy to do things that we did on the field last night. So it was good.
What were the celebrations like?
Yeah, not too many. We've got a job to do still.
Yes, Mitch Moses there after his player of the match performance. And only just ahead of this man, Zach Lomax. 2 tries, 5 from 7 conversions. Outstanding from him. Let's take a listen.
Unbelievable bunch of boys.
Is your leg okay?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's definitely felt better. Mentally I'm feeling really good, feeling on top of the world at the moment. So, but I guess we just ice up. I'll go spend some time back into more at the moment and we'll go again.
Zach Lomax speaking there, obviously what was an incredible performance from him last night. He talked about his goal-kicking duties and he certainly aced that. The way he went up, it almost looked like he was taking a mark in the AFL with he and Xavier Coates on the wing. It was an iconic photo with the MCG in the background. And he too last night when I spoke to him in the sheds was very emotional about his family and his friends being there and the form that he is in. Obviously there was so much talk around Zach Lomax earlier in the season because he wanted out of the Dragons. He signed with Parramatta, but it's never gone away or taken away. That distraction's never taken away from his form. And stepping into the Origin arena, he does not look out of place, crossing for a try last night. And he just mentioned there that he'll be heading back to tomorrow, spend some time with some family and friends away from footy, and no doubt he'll return bigger and better for the Dragons and also too for the New South Wales Blues in 3 weeks' time, because as we talked about, Jim, there is still a job to do up there at Suncorp Stadium in 3 weeks' time.